Highlander, The Immortal Legacy of the MacLeods by Andries. Below.
Screaming, howling, fervently, blood on ancient stones, echoes of a warrior's cry. Bones beneath the throne, castles shrouded in mist, ghosts of battles past, legacy carved in granite, legends built to last. Burning eyes in the night, neath eternal light. Shadows dance with the flame. Highlands scream their name. Steel clashing in the dark, warriors rise and fall. Echoes in the cold wind, answering the call. Ancestors whisper low, secrets lost in time. History.
Episode 3. The Price of Immortality. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the MacLeod property as Anna tended to her garden. The roses she'd planted 25 years ago, when Jacob was just a baby, were in full bloom. She smiled, remembering how Duncan had helped her plant them, his immortal strength making light work of the rocky highland soil. The buzz hit Jacob first. He was training with Duncan near the house when he felt it, that electric sensation that warned of another immortal's presence. But this was different from Methos's steady hum. This presence felt like a storm approaching.
Dad?
Jacob called out, his hand tightening on his sword. Duncan felt nothing. His mortality had stripped him of that early warning system. But he recognized the look on his son's face.
Inside, now!
But
Now!
Duncan's voice carried the authority of centuries. He turned to call out to Anna, but his words died in his throat. Jupiter stood behind her, his English broadsword already drawn. His cruel smile hadn't changed in the centuries since Duncan had last seen him.
My old friend,
Jupiter's voice carried across the garden.
how the mighty have fallen, the great Duncan MacLeod, reduced to a mere mortal.
His blade pressed against Anna's throat.
And all for love.
Let her go, Jupiter.
Duncan's voice was steady, masking the fear in his heart.
This is between us.
Oh, but it's not anymore, is it?
Jupiter's eyes fixed on Jacob.
You've created something new, something unprecedented, a born immortal.
He laughed, the sound devoid of warmth.
The power in his quickening must be extraordinary.
Methos appeared from the shadows of the house, his own sword drawn.
3 against 1, Jupiter. Even you're not that foolish.
3?
Jupiter's smile widened.
1 mortal, 1 fledgling, and 1 who prefers running to fighting. Not exactly frightening odds.
His blade pressed closer to Anna's throat.
Besides, I hold the advantage.
Duncan.
Anna's voice was steady, her eyes meeting her husband's. In that moment, she communicated decades of love, of shared joy, of quiet mornings and peaceful nights.
Your quarrel is with me.
Duncan took a step forward.
Let her go and we'll settle this.
But that's where you're wrong, old friend.
Jupiter's eyes glittered with malice.
My quarrel is with what you represent, the immortal who chose mortality, the warrior who chose love, the man who dared to have what none of us should possess.
His blade flashed in the sunlight.
And now you'll learn the price of that choice.
No!
Duncan's cry came too late. Anna fell, her blood staining the roses she had so lovingly tended. Duncan rushed forward, his mortal legs carrying him as fast as they could, but Jupiter was already retreating, his laughter echoing across the property.
Come find me when you're ready to lose everything, Duncan.
Jupiter called out.
We'll be waiting in the old warehouse district. You remember the place where you first showed mercy instead of taking my head. It may have changed in hundreds of years, but you know the place.
Jacob started to give chase, but Methos held him back.
Not yet.
The ancient immortal warned.
He's too strong for you.
Duncan cradled Anna's body, his tears falling freely. 25+ years of mortal love ended in an instant. He looked up at his son, seeing the same grief and rage reflected in Jacob's eyes.
We'll make him pay.
Jacob swore, kneeling beside his father.
We'll train harder, become stronger.
No,
Duncan's voice was thick with emotion.
I'll face him.
You can't.
Methos interjected.
You're mortal now, MacLeod. His sword would end you permanently.
I was able to defeat the Guardian as a mortal, and he was older than you, Methos.
Yes, but then you were still a young man in mortal years. But now you are older, Mac. Don't let him win.
No, Dad, I still need you. We face him together.
Jacob insisted.
You taught me about honor, about fighting one-on-one, but Jupiter has broken every rule. He killed an innocent woman, my mother.
His voice cracked.
The rules changed when he did that.
Duncan looked down at Anna's peaceful face one last time.
You're right. Jupiter chose this path.
He gently laid Anna's body down among her roses.
Methos, help me prepare her for burial. Jacob.
He turned to his son.
Your training intensifies now. No more basic forms. No more practice strikes.
What are you thinking, MacLeod?
Methos asked, though his ancient eyes suggested he already knew.
Jupiter wants us to come to him. He expects us to be driven by rage, to rush in blindly.
Duncan stood, his mortal frame straight with purpose.
Instead, we prepare, we plan. We make him regret ever touching our family.
As the sun set over the Highland property, 3 men stood in the garden. A mortal who had once been immortal, an ancient who had survived countless battles, and a young immortal born of unprecedented circumstances. Together, they began to plan their revenge, while the roses bore silent witness to the price of immortality. The time for lessons had ended. The real game was about to begin. Highlander, the Immortal Legacy of the MacLeods. Video and voice done with Infinity AI. Research done using Claude AI.